Good morning, Hateville friends and neighbors. Dewey here. My hat is at a weird angle. Anyway, I wanted to share, again, an impromptu. I'm taking my morning walk, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of Hateville history. And you guys know I'm a little obsessive about it. There are so many stories in this little 2.5 square mile town, and I'm walking up on one of them right now. And the thing is, when you're researching these things, for a long time, all of the things that you find just float around and they don't make a lot of sense. It's just information. And then if you keep at it, things start clicking together. Locations, names, family names, situations, newspaper articles, and you go, oh wait, I've seen that name before. What does that mean? How does this connect? And I'm coming up on one of the places that did that for me. And it is right outside Hateful Elementary School, which was built as Hapeville High School in 1939. And there are kids outside running on the track right now. But you can see behind me, I'm on King Arnold Street, and right behind me you can see this arch, right? Hi Pamela, Cook, Odell, thanks for being here, just sharing a little history. You can see this brick archway right here with a little pad of cement right there. And in a previous post, I posted a picture of that, and this used to be the entrance to the football field. And here in Hapeville back in the day, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, locals will tell you that this football field was hopping. It was Friday night lights. The whole town would come out, sit in the bleachers here, buy tickets to see the Hateville Hornets play. And right here is where the ticket booth was, on this cement slab, and then you'd go through that archway into the game. But the archway is something really interesting. Hi Maureen McLean, good to see you, good morning. I'm gonna get to where the sun isn't shining on you, but you can see the football field down there in Hapeville High School back there, which is now Hateful Elementary, but here is the War Memorial. Now I'm gonna flip this around so I can show it to you and see it myself. It is a little backlit, sorry about that. It says Hapeville Memorial Stadium, World War II heroes who died that liberty might not perish. Now, I've walked by this taking my morning walks, there goes the city bus, taking my morning walks very consistently since I moved here to Hapeville 3 years ago. And I would look up at these names, and some of them sort of stuck in my head. I wish I could zoom in, but right there on the left, you can see the names Hugh Grantham and Raymond Grantham. Now there's a lot of other names up here, and I suspect that over time I'll learn who these fellas were. But this is a list of Hapeville boys. And again, this is a very small town, so when we lost these guys, the whole town would have felt it. But Hugh Grantham and Raymond Grantham are who we're going to talk about today that are up on this memorial. Hugh Grantham and Raymond Grantham, they were the sons of Amy and Raymond Sr., and they lived very close to where my house is, over on North Avenue. They lived at 431 North Avenue. The house is still there. This is back in the 40s, of course, early 40s. There were 7 Grantham boys and 4 Grantham girls. And I'm headed back towards City Hall because I want to share something with you. So in 1942, young Raymond Grantham Jr., he was in the Navy, and he was 25 years old. No, he was 22 years old. Sorry, I'm going to go back. There was Raymond and Hugh. Hugh was the younger brother. He was 22 years old. He was in the Navy. Raymond was the older brother. He was 25. So 2 of the 7 boys were in the Navy. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with all those details. But I'd seen those names up there over and over and over. And side note, as we pass the recreation center, I want to show you, there's a wonderful mural that was put up there for the 125th year of Hapeville. It was established in 1891, and in, what would that have been? 2016. That mural was put up there by a local artist named John Christian. It's really cool. Really cool. Shows planes, trains, and automobiles. Anyway, I can't be doing this forever. There's so many details. But anyway, here are these 2 boys in a local family, the Grantham family. And unfortunately, they were both lost in the war. Hugh Grantham, he died in June of 1942. He was in his bomber plane above the Atlantic. They went through a horrible storm and the plane was lost. So Amy Grantham, she got a notice, her and her husband got a notice that they lost Hugh at the age of 22 years old. A couple months later, the other son, Raymond, he was 25 years old. He was also in the Navy working on a ship in California. He came home for 4 days to Hapeville to come on leave, and that was in August, 2 months after his brother died. He came back to Hapeville 4 days on leave. He married Lois Mims, and then he went back to his ship. So only after 4 days, he went back to his ship. Then unfortunately, the Grantham family lost him. But the ship didn't even leave the port. What happened was, young Raymond, 25 years old at the time, he accidentally stepped into a hatch on the ship and fell in and died. So that was only 2 months after his brother Hugh died, and just a week or two after he married his wife, and he was only 25 years old. All of that happened here in Hapeville. And then even though that happened, the younger brother Kenneth, he said, I'm still going to join the Navy anyway. I don't know what happened to him, but he did. But anyway, I wanted to share one more little side note in addition to telling you about who Hugh Grantham is and who Raymond Grantham are. So if you're in Hapeville and you walk by, you can look up and you can know who these boys were and know what a loss it was to this town. But I'm going to go back over to the corner here of North Fulton and sorry, there's a lot of traffic and it's throwing me, and King Arnold Street. And this is where City Hall is, and then I'll close out with a story about Raymond Grantham as this large truck goes by. By the way, the reason why there's so much activity right here, I'll go across the street. If you guys are interested, you'll stay with me. I'm always worried that I'm going to be boring and people aren't going to want to watch this, but here's the rec center, and I'm going to go back over and look across. If you lived here, you know what I'm talking about. But this is what's been built on the corner. It's a new townhouse complex called the Clyde, because there used to be Clyde Hensley's automotive shop, transmission shop, or yeah, Hapeville Transmission. It used to be, sorry, Radiator. Hapeville Radiator, owned by Clyde Hensley, was there for many, many decades. So in honor of that history, this has been named the Clyde. And that's the municipal parking lot right there, the rec center, and the school behind it, just to give you an idea of where we are. I've researched this corner, and there's been all kinds of different businesses here, including a hot dog stand and the radiator shop. There was been a clock repair shop here, and then there was a bunch of other shops on this side. But this is City Hall, and back to Raymond Grantham. There is a story about him, and I will show you a picture of him right here. That is young Raymond Grantham, and this article is from 10 years before he died. So he was about 14 years old, and he was a Boy Scout here in Hapeville, and his father actually was a scoutmaster. But this story says heroism in saving 3 lives brings a medal to the Hapeville boy, and that heroism happened right here in front of City Hall. And as the article explains, there was a local woman who parked her car right here in front of City Hall. She had her niece and two daughters in the car, and she left them there to run in, pay a bill, do something like that, right? Young Raymond, he was out here, and he heard screams and saw the car, and it started to roll down this hill and come across the curb in this direction, as far as I can figure out. There's the Hapeville Police. That's one of the older cars. We've got some newer cars now too. And Raymond jumped into the car and stopped it before it got to the intersection, and those girls were hurt. And he got national attention for that. He was in the newspapers everywhere as a Boy Scout hero. And look what a handsome little kid he was. So that's Raymond Grantham. So next time you're walking by Hapeville High School and you see the names Hugh Grantham and Raymond Grantham up on the memorial, you will know who they are and you will know they were both heroes. And you will know that Raymond Grantham was actually a local Boy Scout hero before he even went into the Navy. That's it. I hope that you enjoy this as much as I do. I know that when I deliver it, it's very disjointed, but what I tell myself is learn as much as I can and then just share it. And over time, when I give walking tours or whatever, it'll become more polished. It's a little janky right now, but thank you very much for listening. Hey, Patty is here. Dave Barnett is here. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate it. Dave Barnett grew up here in Hapeville. His mother is Betty Barnett, who comes from the McCord family. And I think about them a lot because the McCord family was instrumental in the growth of this town back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And actually, Betty Barnett was the first woman council person here in Hapeville. And she still lives here in her 90s. Robert Myron Ridley, thank you for being here, my friend. Robert actually graduated. He will recognize this. Here's the, I'll show you guys this because this will be new to you, Robert and Dave. Here's the rec center, and this is Hapeville High School, you guys. This is where Robert and I think Dave, they both graduated from this school right here. But this is the rec center, which they would have used for sports activities. I think by the time Robert was in school in the 60s here, they had their own gym. But back in the 40s when this was built, the students would leave the school and come over here to do their sports. You're welcome, Maureen. But here is a beautiful mural that just got painted last year on the side of the rec center, and I love it. It's beautiful. It looks like a big postage stamp, and it says, "Dream high, there are no limits, not even the sky." And what I really love about that is the sentiment. But when I saw that the first time, I've never shared this publicly yet, but when I saw that quote the first time, "Dream high, there are no limits, not even the sky," it kind of made me laugh because, hi Connie Peace Coleman, thanks for being here. Because as nice as it is to say dream high, there are no limits, not even the sky, in Hapeville that's not true. There actually are limits because we live so close. There are limits to the sky. Because we live so close to the airport, the tallest a building can be here, if I'm remembering my research correctly, my friend and council person told me this, 8 stories is the tallest that a building can be here in Hapeville. Because of the airport. There are height restrictions. So that's a nice sentiment. Dream high, there are no limits, not even the sky. So when I do my walking tour, I'm actually going to end there because that's freaking perfect. Especially when it comes to the context of Hapeville. So anyway, gosh, there's so much I know about this house right here that I want to share. I always really enjoy that house and the big windows on it. I'll just tell you really quickly. When that house was built, 3435 North Fulton, a man named, give me a second, Brown Tyler, he lived in there. And he was a highfalutin newspaper editor. There was a newspaper that was printed here in town just a couple streets away on Stewart Avenue, now Dogwood, and it was called the Fulton County Review. Well, he was the editor of it, and he was very instrumental in this town. But anyway, when he had this house built, he had these big, beautiful windows to look out upon this area that in that time, this was not here, the school was not here. When he lived here, this was all open parkland. This was a Hapeville park. And the first thing that ate away at the park was when they built the school in 1939. So anyway, Mr. Brown Tyler, he had these beautiful big porch windows to look out upon this park. And so I found in my research a couple articles back in the 30s when they were going to build the rec center in the school. He was not thrilled about it, and he tried to fight city council and say, hey, this is parkland. It was given to the city by a local businessman to be used as parkland. Don't build stuff on it. But obviously that didn't work because there is Hateville High School, now Hateful Elementary School. Anyway, I could go on and on. Pamela Cook Odell says, hey, right back at you, Dewey. You are never boring. I went to North Avenue and also graduated with Dave Barnett from Hapeville High, and we are still friends. Keep the walking tours. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. North Avenue is amazing. I've been in there twice. It's now a museum. I do finger quotes, but not a lot of people get to go in and enjoy it. But I got to walk those halls, and that school is coming up on 100 years old. North Avenue was built in 1929. Can you believe it? I go by there and I look at that empty expanse of land behind it, and I go, that's where the playground used to be, and so many stories and so many kids out here, and it's just empty now, and it just breaks my heart. Anyway, I know especially those of you who used to live here may get some enjoyment out of these tours, so I appreciate you joining me, because I know that feeling of home and the pull to home. I lived in a town when I was very, very little. I lived in a town in upstate New York called Lansing, New York, and there was a little valley, a hamlet called Ludlowville. And those were my earliest memories. And the layout and the hilliness and the park and the greenery of Hapeville kind of reminds me of that time in my life. And so although I didn't grow up here in Hapeville, my research and my connection to it, emotionally I guess, helps me to understand why so many people that used to live here say that it holds a very special place in their heart. And I get it. Hi, Jim. I get it. So this was a long one, but thank you for being with me. I'm glad I was able to figure out that I could pull this up on my, I mean, it's not ideal, but I could pull this up so you could see where I get my research from. But there he is, Raymond Grantham. I couldn't find any pictures of his brother Hugh, but I did find a picture of his father getting an award for being an excellent scoutmaster. But it was a big family, and their house is still over there at 431. Although when I look at the house, I can tell a lot has been added to it, and I can't really see what the original house might have looked like, and it's not really in the best repair right now. But anyway, I digress. Thank you guys very much for watching. I am just going to be silent now and put my phone away and enjoy the rest of my walk, because it's quiet here in Hapeville and it's not that hot yet. Create yourself a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.